Whew. Been a while, man.
Been way too long.
It's good to hear that song again.
You know what's also nice is we're not recording at night, so I can just use natural lighting. I don't need to set up the lamp and everything and move that all around. So it's good, but good to see you.
Not be dead tired. Good to see you, man. Well, listen, welcome in, takers. This is Just the Tip, a fantasy football podcast. It is Sunday, March 12th, and Disfatt-Bidge, Mac Disfatt-Bidge is here joining me. I'm Ryan, Tagless, Haynes. And we got a special episode for you today. Daytime episode. Mac, how you doing, first and foremost?
Doing well, man. You know, catching up on the XFL and mobile betting in Massachusetts. So it's been fun. Finally doing that. So not last week. Wow. Yesterday, you could bet on the Celtics to score 1 point and you like double your money up to $100. It's like, oh, cool. So the easy intro bet. So you get an additional $50 if you bet 50 or whatever. So yeah, pretty cool. Thank you. About time, Massachusetts.
Yeah, I know, right? That's awesome. Can you clarify what you just said? The Celtics score one.
You heard me right.
Point?
You heard me right. Their promo was they got to score 1 point. That's it. And then you win the money. It's pretty easy. So you find those promos and you get a little bit to your bankroll. It's good advertising. You know they're going to spend it all back in on betting things. So you're not going to lose any money.
There you go. In the XFL. So you must be like following up on AJ McCarron and Ben DiNucci just tearing it up. Josh Gordon.
And Paxton Lynch being benched again in 4 leagues. Poor guy. It's so bad.
In the inaugural XFL, the dude can't find a job. Ben DiNucci is fucking looking like Joe Montana, and Paxton Lynch can't even see the field. Man, I feel so bad for that guy.
And Josh Gordon lining it up too. Nobody can tackle him.
I love that.
Pretty
Absolutely
funny.
Love it. All right, well, listen, we got a special Dynasty trade show today. We're going to talk free agency a bit. We got free agency coming up next week. So a lot of exciting NFL stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then before you know it, it's going to be rookie draft time. You're going to be diving into your rookie drafts. And so it's an exciting time, man. We're back at it. But first, we want to talk about we had a little bit of a challenge during the playoffs and we had a winner. So, Mac, you got news on that?
I do have news on that. So yeah, we had the NFL playoff challenge. We had like 20 other participants with us. So thank you very much, takers. It was a good time. And we were offering up a free t-shirt if you won. So Ryan, guess who wins the free t-shirt?
Not me.
Me. Disfatt-Bidge with 106 points. If you're watching on that screen, I got the leaderboard here. I went all in on Eagles and Kansas City after the first round, so I needed them to go all the way to the Super Bowl to get those multipliers. But Kevin, you win the free t-shirt. I don't know what Kevin it is. I think I know him. You might know him. I'm not sure. So we need to get last name.
Kevin. No, we got to figure it out.
But Kevin, don't impersonate a Kevin. It's just a t-shirt, guys, but you can buy for $20. But Kevin, congratulations. But I did want to bring up one other thing here, Ryan. This guy down at the bottom, Cam, 0 points. What are you doing? Oh man, he forgot to set his lineup joins, but didn't bring a gift. I guess I don't know what analogy I'm going for.
I guess
so, man.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, that first slide was a little nauseating. I got my top 15 finished though, 14th. That's not too bad. Out of 22.
Not too bad at all. You went a lot in on the Bills though, right? So
I went Bills, Niners. That was the kick.
You gotta get lucky.
No, yeah, it was lots of fun. We had a good time. But yeah, let's get into it now.
Sorry, been a while.
Throw me off. First time hosting. I've done some videos by myself. Check out our TikTok page. Check out YouTube. We've been doing a lot of shorts and different specialty videos, 10, 15 minutes long. So check that out. But this is my first time actually hosting an actual show. So it's like, it's what, 3 years in the making here. And it's
3 years.
It's my turn.
We have our 3-year anniversary coming up where we'll be live. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to be live. It's too chaotic going live. Too many kids interrupting and stuff. But Regan is going to be on vacation, so we will do our 3rd anniversary episode. Create a montage of the last year and everything. I've been working on that, so it'll be fun. Hopefully you join us. Hopefully you takers are still with us in the off season because we got some good Dynasty stuff coming up. Speaking of, Ryan, Dynasty stuff, hit me. What's going on? What's on your mind?
I'm just gonna hit you with some news from this week first.
Oh,
we gotta talk about this trade. We have.
You want to do it? You want to do a quick Haynes briefs? Then do you?
Let's do a quick Haynes brief.
All right.
Sweet sassy molassie.
So the news that surprised everybody: the Carolina Panthers, not the Colts, the Panthers, trade up into that one spot after all that talk we heard about the Colts jumping up, getting their guy, going after Stroud. The Panthers trade DJ Moore, the 9th pick in the draft, 61st second round pick this year's draft, a 24 first and a 25 second to slide up into that number 1 spot. So first reactions, Mac, who wins this deal? Who do you think?
First reaction, that's it. That's all they had to give up. Who wins this deal? Chicago for now. But Panthers are rumored to be trading down again. So say, like you said, the Colts, they want to get that first round. They said it's up, the first pick. They say it's up for grabs. They're willing to trade down. I don't know why. I guess they think they could take 5 quarterbacks. Out of the 5 quarterbacks, we could see a top 5 quarterback or top 4 quarterbacks in a row.
Did they watch like Draft Day with Kevin Costner and decided to do the same thing? Is that what's happening here? Okay. I
saw somebody post that meme and they're like, and throw in DJ Moore for the hell of it. It's like, okay, they're having fun. Hey, go for
it. Good for them. I mean, I think the package is fair. Obviously, it's not like the Russell Wilson trade last year, which actually has turned out to be a nightmare for the Broncos. Obviously, where you're trading for some kind of proven vet. You're sliding up 8 spots. I think for the Bears, sliding down 8 spots, it's totally worth it. First impression, Bears need a hell of a lot on their team. They need an O-line, they need a D-line, they need a secondary, they need all of these different pieces. The top 10 is loaded with those assets. This is a huge draft for like defensive line, edge rushers, O-line, secondary. So, if they can kind of trade back and then nab one of those guys, I think that's a good deal. I mean, right now I have a mock draft here. I think just want to get like the 9th pick. Right now it'll be Miles Murphy, according to NFL.com. This is Lance Zierlein. He has Miles Murphy, the edge rusher out of Clemson, going 9th.
Yep.
For the Bears, perfect. Like,
he's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to end up with a beast regardless of what's happening or who you're choosing. And so I think for the Bears, it clearly made sense. But DJ Moore, like, what do you think he's going to be on the Bears? Do you think this elevates him? What do you think?
I don't think so. He's still going to be the low end wide receiver 2. I'm not going to think he's going to be AJ Brown or Stephon Diggs changing the franchise on his first year. I don't see that type of season coming, but in redraft 4th round and he's there, like top of the 4th. Yeah, I'm willing to take a shot on him as my wide receiver 2. He's been in the league for 4 years of fantasy production when he's been in the league for 5 or 6, but fantasy value. I think we know who he is. He's not like AJ Brown where we saw those boom games and like consistent play, or Stephon Diggs, and then go into a better quarterback to just take it to that top 5 level. I don't think he's going to do that. So Maybe he cracks the top 12. Maybe.
I think you make a good point where I think if he stayed in Carolina last year, he was getting picked probably early or the early fourth round, right? Like maybe late third, early fourth. Like people were pretty high on him last year with Baker Mayfield coming to town. And it seemed like it was inevitable that he was going to drop significantly in this year's player rankings. If he stayed in Carolina, right? Like he'd probably be more projected to be like a 6th round pick or 7th round pick or, wide receiver 3 territory, really. So I think what you're saying is now that he's on the Bears, he probably has about the same level of hype as he did going into last season, which is you're hoping that he turns into a nice wide receiver 2. And I think that's probably a ceiling. I don't know if I see him as like a true wide receiver 1, but it's so hard to tell. But Justin Fields, obviously, what he's going to do first. He's going to be a run first quarterback. He's going to throw for, a lot of games. He's going to have 180, 190 yards. So, who's that going to go to? Probably DJ Moore. But at the same time, I think you're right. Like ceiling's probably a wide receiver 2. For the Panthers, the Panthers, even though they got rid of all that draft capital, they still have a pick in every round this year. So it's not like they just mortgage the future by any stretch of the imagination. So which quarterback do you think they're targeting at 101? Do you think it's ultimately going to be CJ Stroud if they do choose with that selection?
If they're smart and do that, CJ Stroud, but it's definitely not going to be Bryce Young. But I'm trying to bring up my
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson, excuse me, the freaking action figure. I'm trying to bring up my bet. I'm pretty sure it was plus 600, so I put it down. I was going to bring it up, but it's taking too long to log in. People are like, "Oh, Cam Newton, he's like Cam Newton, but better, but more inaccurate, but he's more of an athlete." Like, okay. Would that be the Panthers? But I don't think that's Frank Reich, though, dude. I think he's going to go Stroud, right? Okay. But I put on like $25 just in case. I'll be plus 600. Crazy things happen.
Unless they trade down to like the 4th pick and then they take Anthony Richardson there. And I don't, but then why wouldn't you just trade from 9 to 4? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but it's the Panthers.
Yeah, we'll see. I do think it's probably going to be CJ Stroud. I know you and I talked about a bit about Terrace Marshall, and maybe they have more faith in Terrace Marshall than we thought. Get rid of Robbie Anderson last year or whatever the hell his name is now, and now they get rid of DJ Moore.
I'm still calling him Robbie.
Yeah. What do you know what the new name is? I can't even remember what it was.
He wants to be called Chosen Anderson. So Terrence Marshall, 22 years old.
Yep.
6'2", 200 pounds. Only 2 years in the league. We need that 3rd year jump. Speaking of dynasty trades, are you targeting him? Yeah.
I think right now, I think you might have to. I think people are going to look for you to overpay. Like I think there's going to be some level of hype around Terrace Marshall. Obviously the Panthers, now that wide receiver position becomes such an area of need for them, I don't know if that's what they're going to focus on first to start because they need so much. But I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in another receiver in free agency. I wouldn't be surprised if they use that 2nd round pick to draft a receiver, maybe like a Zay Flowers, who I think would complement Terrace Marshall very nicely. Terrace Marshall's your big body guy. He's going to catch those 50-50 balls. He's going to be your deep threat. And Zay Flowers is just he's a DJ Moore. He's an athlete. You can get him the ball. He's going to make plays.
He's going to be in the 1st round, dude.
Could be.
Flower. Yeah, some team that's going to need a wide receiver. They're just going to be like, all right, we're going to take him.
But you have mock drafts that are saying Darnell Washington's going to go at that 39 spot, which is the big tight end out of Georgia, 6'7", had a freak athletic score at the combine. And that's an area of need they need to address as well. So there's going to be another weapon either way.
I was hoping he wouldn't show off so much because I was really wanting him. And I'm like, oh, 3rd round. That's like the only picks I have is in the 3rd round. Maybe I could get him for my rookie drafts. But nope, he's going to be a 2nd rounder for sure. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of these tight ends, I think, are going to jump into the 2nd round for sure.
We talked about this. Yeah, I'm sorry. We talked about this, how this was going to be a stacked draft because of 2020 backed up people staying in college for an extra year. So even if you have, like, for your rookie draft picks, if you have a couple third rounders, you might find some gems in there because it's going to be stacked of some players. Like, you find an Eli Mitchell in the third round, somebody that's going to fly on the radar. So don't feel like you have to get to the top of the draft this year. Next year, I'm definitely going to, because there's going to be some more wide receiver studs next year. But there's going to be some good quality guys, and we'll make sure we let you know some of those deeper tips for you.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak a little bit to the other side of that today. I do think that you're going to be able to find some value definitely in the late second, early in third round, more so than other years. But we'll talk about, like, what are the trends? What have we been seeing in years past? We've been talking about loaded drafts in 2020, 2021, and like how those second and third round picks kind of turned out in those years. So I want to go over that a little bit. So why don't we go ahead and get into why we're on the show today? And we want to talk dynasty trades. We want to talk about buy now candidates. We want to talk about rookie pick values, all that stuff. And one guy I know you're high on this year for a buy now is Devin Singletary.
Okay. All right. What's your definition of high on?
Well, when you're considering packaging a player such as
all right,
Dalvin Cook.
Yes.
I don't know.
All right, we'll get into my supporting factor. All right. I don't know what should I start with, Devin Singletary or Dalvin Cook? I'll start with Singletary since we brought him up.
Okay. Yeah.
This is my target because you don't have to use Dalvin Cook to get him. 25 years old. Overall numbers aren't great, but thanks to Adam Azer of CBS, I was listening to him the other day, or he tweeted it out. So he got this stats. So running backs with over 300 attempts combined in the last 4 seasons, the qualifier, there's like 55 running backs. In yards per carry, he's in the top 10. I think he's right at 10. He's 5th in percentage of carries that go over 12 yards. So he can get you those big plays. He has that big play ability. And he is 6th in avoided tackle rate. So he is elusive. He is good out of the backfield. It's just in Buffalo, I was talking to you off screen, that it's a great offense. Like you said, number 1 offense, but he doesn't get all the opportunities he could with a team that is dependent on the running back and not cycling in James Cook, Zach Moss, or trading for Nyheim Hines to take away opportunities from him. I feel like if he can go to another team that, I don't know, Bengals, Joe Mixon might be cut. He's going in through some trouble right now. And if he can get onto a team where dangerous wide receivers, like he could be a Joe Mixon type back where he might have boom games, but then he might fizzle out, but go under the radar. But he's definitely an RB2 for the past few years. And I'm willing to trade an RB1 and get some picks and Devin Singletary just to take the upside of where he goes, what team he will go to. I don't know in free agency, but I'm sure he's going to want to go to a contender. So it should be a good offense. In the next 2 to 3 years, he's going to have some RB2 value. So that's why I'm targeting Devin Singletary.
Listen, I hear where you're coming from. I think he's a buy now candidate for sure. I think you have to be careful about what you spend. I don't mind like the Dalvin Cook, load up on some draft picks, bring in Devin Singletary and kind of roll the ball with that. But you're also talking about running back going into a second contract, which is always a concerning thing. You saw it with like bigger names like Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley and how fast those guys fizzled out and were out of the league. And, with Singletary, I just don't know if I see him getting the opportunity to be the guy. Like, I just feel like whatever team he ends up on, he's going to end up in some kind of committee. And you're probably going to see similar results as what you saw in Buffalo. But you never know. Like, the Falcons signed Mike Davis 2 years ago. And all of a sudden, like, people are drafting Mike Davis and he's a regular in your lineup. And, Tyler Algier last year, like if he finds the right spot, I think if he's on a contender, it's probably some kind of committee, but I do think if like, he just wants to like cash in and get a big contract and he goes to a team like the Falcons or a team that's
Miami.
I'm trying to think of like Miami would probably be more of a contender, but that would be a good spot for him.
That's what I'm saying. I want an offense where, they're going to be in the top 15 of offense. That's what he needs. But he can't have the box stacked. Like, he's not going to be able to Derrick Henry his way up. But you're talking about second contracts, though. Leonard Fournette, change of location.
Yeah.
He did well. DeMarco Murray, I'm not saying he's DeMarco Murray. All right, calm down, people.
Sure.
But I'm just saying there is upside, and that's what you're trying to look for with the trends. So that's why I want Singletary. See if you can get him for a upper third round pick, maybe. Or package deal, but don't let him be the main target either.
Yeah, some deals I saw. So I use the Dynasty Nerds trade browser, and Dynasty Nerds is a great resource. I always kind of recommend people to go there. They have a ton of stuff that you can use if you subscribe to their yearly membership. I think it's like $60 or $70, and you get trade calculators, Dynasty GM. They kind of analyze your whole team. They break it down really nicely. So check that out. But
just listen to our podcast, not theirs.
Listen to our podcast, but go and check out their Dynasty GM. It's very cool.
Yeah.
So a couple of trades that I saw in their trade browser: Darnell Mooney for Devin Singletary.
Straight up?
Yeah.
Oh, I want the Singletary side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Single quarterback leagues, Trey Lance for Devin Singletary in 2:23 seconds. Single QB.
If I have a QB top 12 upside or caliber rather, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if I had like a Kirk Cousins and Trey Lance as a backup and I was running back needy, I think Devin Singletary in the 2 seconds. Obviously, you have to take into consideration where those seconds are going to lie, but I think that's really good value for Trey Lance right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a longer window with Trey Lance, though, right? As long as he gets a starting job in San Fran. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I guess like you might be selling on the future a little bit. That's not necessarily a trade that you would have to make.
But if I'm running back needy, and yeah, I guess so, and a contender. Okay.
Yeah. So you're with the Trey. You're on the Trey Lance side. You'd rather keep Trey Lance.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I hear it. Listen, athletic quarterback hasn't really gotten a shot yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you there. If you could trade Darnell Mooney instead of Trey Lance, I'd 100% do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Another one, Jamal Williams for Devin Singletary, straight up.
In PPR, Singletary. Yeah, that's usually what we go off with. PPR.
Even if not, I mean, Jamal Williams.
If not, he's gonna get signed back with Detroit, and he'll still get the red zone touches, and he'll be a more consistent RB2 for you. I'd stick with Jamal in a non-PPR.
You think so? You'd stick with Jamal?
Yeah, because we can't trust Swift. Can't trust Swifty. So Jamal Williams, they love him there, and he just robs the touchdowns. So touchdown leader, Jamal Williams.
I think if he goes back to Detroit, you got a point there. But I think
only reason, yeah.
And you've touched on this too. Like this year, there's going to be a huge running back carousel. You have you have too many good players coming through the draft, and you have a lot of free agent running backs. There's going to be some big changes. There are going to be running backs that are in committees that weren't in committees, and vice versa. And it's going to be totally different.
It's going to be exciting, though.
I think so. Here's the last one for Singletary, and you let me know what you think on this. 23 first for Singletary and Calvin Ridley.
If I'm trading away Singletary and Ridley, no, I need more than just one first. Get out of here.
Right.
Obviously, people are really doing that.
Yeah. Well, let's say it's like 106. Then it's like, yeah, I would rather have Singletary and Calvin Ridley and take my chances there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 101 and Bijan Robinson, then then like F off with Calvin Ridley and Devin Singletary.
I saw somebody get Bijan Robinson at the 102. A screenshot of that, and I'm just like, I want to play in that league. Please. Is there an opening?
Must have had to have been Superflex.
Maybe. Even so, you're not taking Bijan in Superflex first overall?
No, I would, but at least you could rationalize it if you didn't have a quarterback.
All right.
You go like CJ Stroud, like I'd be okay with that, but or maybe Anthony Richardson for that huge upside. But if it's single QB, who are you picking ahead of Bijan Robinson?
And why are you picking before the draft, people? What's up with that?
Also, yeah.
God,
I don't know.
Don't do that, takers. Anyway, continue.
Bad idea. So anything else on Devin Singletary? You want to go into Dalvin Cook and kind of how you feel about Dalvin Cook and whether or not you're selling him or keeping him or whatnot?
All right. It's a bit of numbers I wrote down, so I'll try to go quickly here, takers, after I take a drink.
Too much talk on Devin Singletary there.
A little bit. I haven't worked my vocal cords up this morning. So
it's the most content on Singletary we've ever had, and like collectively.
It really is, except a little bit of a stretch last season. I know Regan and I were talking about him a lot. So, but Dalvin Cook, I was trying to trade him for Singletary and Zonovan Knight and get a couple second rounders because he didn't have any first rounders. But I'm worried about Dalvin Cook. He's already peaked. 2020 was his peak in that run-friendly offense. New coaching change. They're just going to pass attack all the time, and he's not really that great out of the backfield. You get 30 receptions and maybe a touchdown this season if you're lucky. So in 2020, running attempts, 312, over 1,500 yards, and 16 touchdowns. He was the running back 2 on the season that year. 2021, 249 attempts. He did miss a couple games. So his attempts, 249 yards, 1,159 with only 6 touchdowns, Ryan. So that's running back 16. The next year, last year, 264 attempts. Okay, they went up. He made the whole season without getting injured, Ryan. So congrats.
17-game season too, right?
Yeah, good for him. But 1,173 yards, only was that 24 more yards and 8 touchdowns. He was running back 11. So trends you got to look for is like, are they doing the explosive plays? Yes, he still has that capability. We saw the big runs he had this year. But the yards per carry is trending down. From 2020 is 4.99. 21, it was 4.65. Last year, 4.44. I'm not taking huge stock into it, but you can see that his peak has already happened. I'm not saying he still can't be in the top 12 of running backs, but is going to continue this way, especially in a team that's going to be too pass heavy. If he gets traded or moves to a different team that is going to be more running back heavy, I'm back in on him. Fine. Okay. This year he will have that value. But the other thing that is speaking to me is that he is not going to restructure his contract. So he knows that, no, I need to make as much money as I can because I'm not as good as I used to be. Still a stud. I love you, Dalvin Cook. Don't hate me. But in Dynasty, you got to trade him now and get at least a first and a second. I really don't think people are going to give much more than that. So that's why I was saying get a couple seconds in Singletary. That way I can take a younger running back and the huge upside chance.
It's honestly, and this is my problem with Dalvin Cook. It wasn't that value is not where he's at right now. I think that's pretty good value for Dalvin Cook. I think the window, my thoughts on this is that the window has passed for trading Dalvin Cook. And at this point, I would probably just rather keep him than trade him because I don't think you're going to get back exactly what you want. But you're probably right. Like a first and a second is probably what you're going to get for him. I just want to go back and look at the 2020 draft. This is a single QB draft. And just look at like what the value is for those late second round picks. Cause that's what you're going to end up with trading Dalvin Cook to a contender. Right. And just like, this is going to be kind of the trend moving forward. And this is how like these picks pan out. Right. So these players are going into year 4 after 205. Actually, let me go back. So you had 2-3. So we're going to go to early second. Zach Moss. Okay. Denzel
Jeez.
Mims,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You got Michael Pittman. Okay, Michael Pittman's solid. Anthony McFarland, T.
Oh,
Higgins,
that was me.
and then it goes into after T. Higgins, Chase Claypool, Laviska Shenault, Devin Duvernay, Tua, AJ Dillon. So of those players, who do you really want right now? And who has actually produced over the last 3 or 4 years consistently? Michael
T.
Pittman
Higgins.
to some degree, but
Yeah.
T. Higgins. He's the only one. So if you're going to trade Devin Singletary, right? Or if you're going to trade Dalvin Cook and you're going to end up with Devin Singletary, Laviska Shenault, and Devin Duvernay, do you do that trade right now? No, absolutely not. So I just think that the chances of that happening are much higher than the chances of being like Devin Singletary, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman. Because you do that trade for sure.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to be pretty confident in your drafting abilities.
For sure. But I won last year. I don't know if you know. So I won our Dynasty League. So I'm ready to move on from Dalvin Cook. He served his purpose.
No, listen, I this is more of like buyer beware because it's draft season. And now, I had one guy in one league who was totally unloading all of his players for second round picks in this year's draft. And he's like, I just want to control the second round. And I'm like, dude, you're going to get like 3 good players. You just traded
if
7.
you're lucky. If you're lucky.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
You're going to have Anthony McFarland, Devin Duvernay, sure, you'll have T. Higgins, but then you'll have AJ Dillon as your running back for the next 3 years. It's like the odds of you hitting on those picks, it's like if a top 12 player at their position, it's probably like 15% chance. If that, there's
I think it's lower
here on this.
Yeah. We'll have to do an episode on that before the rookie drafts happen. But yeah, those are great points, Ryan.
Like 70% fail rate, I would say. But yeah, so that's how I feel about that Dalvin Cook situation. I think that I would just rather keep him, ride him into the sunset, see what happens.
All right.
But I'll move quick here. I know we're about a little over a half hour now. My guy this year that I'm trying to buy is Antonio Gibson.
Okay.
I think with Eric Bieniemy moving over to Washington, going to be their offensive coordinator, and seeing what Bieniemy did with Jerick McKinnon last year, who is a similar type of back to Antonio Gibson. I think he could have a really nice ceiling this year. He's not going to be a running back 1 like he was in 2021, but I think he could be probably a pretty reliable running back 2 for you. Like, I think he's going to squeeze into that territory. The biggest concern of 21 with Gibson was that he fumbled a lot. He had 6 fumbles that year. Right. And, really pissed off Ron Rivera after Rivera was like, he's going to be C-Mac. He's going to be, Christian McCaffrey. And then 6 fumbles later, he wasn't seeing the field all that much, but last year he had a pretty good season. I think he had over 500 rushing yards, had somewhere around 50 receptions. And he was a relatively reliable back. So I think what you can get for him, what you have to trade to get him, it's worth it. And it's usually like straight up 23-second. We just talked about it. So the chances of that being like Devin Duvernay for Antonio Gibson, I would take that all day. Another trade I saw, AJ Dillon in a 3rd for Antonio Gibson in a 2nd. So now you're moving up in the draft and you're swapping out Antonio Gibson with AJ Dillon. So I would much rather have Antonio. Like, I think Antonio Gibson's going to have a much better season than AJ Dillon, and you're moving up in the draft. That's my opinion. AJ Dillon just didn't show me a lot last year. Aaron Rodgers ain't coming back. It's going to be Jordan Love. I don't know what that situation's going to look like.
I'd rather have Gibson competing against Brian Robinson over Dillon competing with Aaron Jones. So I totally understand that for sure.
And on an offense that you don't know how they're going to produce next year moving forward, if it's Jordan Love or if it's another quarterback.
For sure.
All right, last one. This is an interesting one. You tell me what you think.
Okay.
Darren Waller for Antonio Gibson.
Tight ends are so hard to come by, man, and we've seen what he can do. I don't know. How old's Waller? 30?
He's like 31, I think.
Jeez. Yeah, if I'm running back needy, yeah, I'm taking Gibson.
I think that's fair.
It is fair.
Like, I
Say
think
they
that's
need a
pretty
tight
fair.
end.
Yep.
So you have a tight end that's Hunter Henry level. Okay. Here's Waller. You have a lot of running backs. Give me that guy. Yeah. I think that's fair. That helps us out. Helps these two of us out.
But I guess here's where I lie too, though. If you have a 23 second, would you rather part ways with a 23 mid to late second, or Darren Waller?
I'd rather part ways with the second.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, there is
Yeah, if you
talent
can.
in the second round, but when you're talking like mid to late second round, and that 2020 class was supposed to be loaded, right? It's like running backs, receivers, very loaded draft, tight ends, whatever. And like if you're in single QB 2.6 to 2.12, I'd rather have Darren Waller, and I'd rather just ship that off for Antonio Gibson, and I'd rather have Gibson. If you're in super flex, it changes 2.6 to 2.12. Now that you have 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks bumping up, other skill position players, then you're probably finding better value at 2.6 to 2.12. Then you're probably getting, Devin Achane. Then you're probably getting Sean Tucker. Then you're probably getting Josh Downs from North Carolina. Like, you're going to get some players from that 2.6 to 2.12 in Superflex. So I might be less hesitant to trade straight up for Antonio Gibson in Superflex formats. But that's kind of where I stand right now. I think Gibson's a good buy. I think you can plug him in. And I think, mid to late seconds or early thirds, or swapping out AJ Dillon and moving up in the draft and bringing in Antonio Gibson, I think that's a really good move.
I'm a little hesitant with Gibson, though, because of that offense with those receivers, McLaurin, Dotson, and if Curtis Samuel can stay healthy out there, it's going to be a lot of competition with him. I'd rather Singletary. Yeah. For cheaper.
Well, I think right now you'd probably know more. It's more solidified what Gibson's future is going to be than Singletary. But if Singletary lands in the right spot, then certainly his upside could be higher. All right, you wanted to get into some free agents real quick. We're at 37 minutes, so we'll try to go through this relatively quickly.
All right.
But yeah, you go ahead. You take the lead here.
All right, tip drill here.
Perhaps play a little game called Just a Tip, just for a second, just to see how it feels.
All right, free agency guys. Ryan, you don't have to get all analytic about it. Just where you wish they would go. QBs, not much. Jimmy G, where you
Raiders.
think you want
I need it. I have Devontae Adams. I just traded for him. I need somebody to throw him the ball.
Yeah, you don't want Stidham, that's for sure. Yeah, hopefully the Raiders. The rest of the QB list, guys, is just backups. But somebody that's intriguing for Superflex to trade for, Ryan, Baker Mayfield. Rumors of Stafford being shopped around, but then they're saying, no, we're not shopping Stafford around. And then he's like, I'm not retiring. Well, then Matthew Berry on the happy hour was saying how Stafford looked awful in practice and he didn't throw much in practice. He had to save his arm. So remember last year how Allen Robinson would be wide open and Stafford's not throwing to him. He's just throwing a cup. It's because he wasn't practicing. He didn't know where Allen Robinson was doing on his breaks, on his routes. So he just was going with his old faithful and cup. I think Stafford's going to be done sooner rather than later. And Baker Mayfield, stay with the Rams. And you can get a starting job there. So you might be able to get a starting QB for cheap.
Yeah, I like that, because what do you have to trade to get Baker Mayfield right now? It's all about value, right? So if you could trade like a 4th round pick for Baker Mayfield and somebody's just looking to get anything for him, why not? Just stash him on your roster. There's probably a good chance he's on the waiver wire. Pick him up, leave him on your roster.
You might, especially after the rookie draft. People are going to make cuts. They're going to cut Andy Dalton types. They're going to cut those backup quarterbacks. So say you can't get a quarterback because you were too high, or you went too far in the playoffs and you couldn't get a quarterback in that Superflex rookie draft. Take a shot on that guy.
Last year, people were cutting Jimmy G at the beginning of the season when Lance got the starting job, and it was pretty clear that Jimmy G was staying in San Fran. The people were cutting him in Superflex leagues. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll scoop him up. Why not?
And there was 64 starting QBs last year. There's only 32 teams. That's ridiculous, right? How does that math add up?
Doesn't.
Running backs, we talked enough about that guy. So Miles Sanders, where do you think he should go? Or where do you want him to go?
Dolphins. I'd love the Dolphins from Miles Sanders. I really am hoping that happens. I think that offense, I think he's very talented. I just think he hasn't had an opportunity to really show it. But yeah, Dolphins.
I would like the Saints if he could go there, if Kamara's not going to play.
Ooh,
but
yep.
Yeah. Kareem Hunt, I think he's going to stay in the division and go to wouldn't that be funny if he goes for the Bengals?
Yeah.
If Joe Mixon can't play. But Kareem Hunt, I don't know. Where is he useful? Is he even useful anymore?
No, I think he is. I think the Bengals if they part ways with Joe Mixon, I think Kareem Hunt and Samaje Perine is perfectly fine as a running back duo.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't mind him in Miami either. Get him on the cheap. Rashad Penny, we want him out of Seattle, right? We don't want him competing with Ken Walker. That's stud.
No, we do. Yeah, no, we don't want that for Rashad Penny. I think I'd like to see him pull like a Cordero Patterson move and go to the Falcons and just try to resurrect his career, try to get somewhat of a decent paycheck for 1 year. And I like that kind of situation for him for sure.
Okay. David Montgomery, if he's not sticking around with Chicago, where would you like him to go?
Oh man, this is getting tricky. I'm trying to think of the teams that are really in need of a running back. I mean, Chicago, I think he's probably going to go for the money. I don't know if he's going to stay in Chicago. And I think he'll probably get a decent 2-year contract somewhere. Denver? I don't know if Javonte is going to be back, man. And Melvin's gone.
He won't.
He went to KC this year.
Any one of these decent running backs in free agency that go to Denver, their value is going to go up. So
yeah,
if you're not a contender, I would trade them as soon as that gets hyped up. If they're in Denver,
you know what? I'm going to change my
Penny. I'm
going to change my Kareem Hunt. I'm going to change, and this is obviously we don't know about rookie running backs too, but if you're talking about Ken Walker, who's on a rookie contract, and you're looking for somebody to pair with him, Kareem Hunt.
Okay.
Seattle.
All right. Yeah, that would work.
Passing downs. Yep.
It's kind of like a little beast mode.
It's the same thing. It's like the Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt connection. It's you got a guy who's your traditional first and second down back, and then you got your third down back.
All right, real quick. Alexander Madison, backup running back to Dalvin Cook. Remember our danger zone around this time last year, Ryan? I was saying trade for him, because this is the year free agency. I would like to see him in Miami a lot. That would be fun. A pass catching back like him.
I'd like to see him stay in Minnesota. I think they have a lot of confidence in him. And
so get Cook out and him stay.
Yeah, I would.
Right.
I would. You save money on the cap, and you've already seen that he can produce just as highly as Dalvin Cook.
Maybe they got to sign him though. So
yeah,
he's got to get a bigger contract. We'll see. Well, maybe not as big as Dalvin Cook. Still has to prove it. All right, wide receivers, not a great list. But your boy Paris Campbell, I'm going to take shots on these younger guys around 25, 26 years old. They're going to get new contracts somewhere. So Paris Campbell, if you can get him for cheap right now, where would you like to see him go?
Yeah, he showed you a lot last year, I think. He has some level of upside.
You had terrible coaching and a QB carousel, and he was trying. But if he got enough volume, it was good. So, where could he go?
I would say Arizona.
Arizona? Okay.
Yeah, with Kyler Murray, they're going to be looking for some cheap athletic weapons. I think he would be a guy that would be on that list.
What if he went to Buffalo as that slot receiver instead of Cole Beasley? Or you
I don't know if they do
stick with Shakir and stuff?
I think they stick with Shakir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Dallas would be great for him. What about McCole Hardman? Any interest in him, or we've seen enough of him?
Well, I think he's going to be your big play guy from a fantasy perspective. Probably not a whole heck of a lot, but if he I think staying with the Chiefs is probably his best option and staying with Mahomes. But
Probably.
I'm not even sure who would give him.
No, he's not
I feel
going to
like
get much.
they would probably
That's for sure.
they'd probably view him higher than most other teams. But like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm trying to go down the list in my head of like the teams that need a receiver like him. I mean, maybe Pittsburgh, but Pickens is kind of your 50-50 guy, I guess.
Yeah, I think
I don't
McCole
know.
Hardman should be in Tennessee. Get him and Treylon Burks.
Okay.
Get some speed out there. And they're shopping around Derrick Henry too, so maybe they're going to be changing their philosophy a bit. Who knows?
Yeah, that's fine. Falcons, maybe something like that.
Yeah, Falcons. They need another wide receiver besides Drake London because we know Pitts is a bust.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding. Jacoby Myers, Juju, GJ Chark. Jacoby Myers, you got to stay. You're not going to have value anywhere else. Juju, don't really care. DJ Chark, though. This is what I was thinking for Arizona.
Don't you care about Juju? You don't care about Juju is good. Last year, this is the same story in the offseason. I'm like, Juju's going to be good value. And you just like dismissed him right off the bat. You're like, fuck Juju.
He was like wide receiver 9 for like the first half of the season. He was good.
DJ Chark, what about him? Where do you think?
I would say Arizona, one of those big playmakers down there. That's what I was thinking. He's probably going to go to Houston, though, with Robert Woods. I totally forgot about Robert Woods. I'm like, oh, cool. Good for you.
Yeah, Houston needs some guys, but I think Nico Collins is going to be fine out there. I really do.
Yeah,
Jacoby Myers, if Jacoby wants to get paid, I feel like I keep going back to the same team, but like Falcons, and he receivers. He's a guy who's going to get open quickly. He can play in the slot.
Chicago's going to have to bring. They're going to have to bring another veteran wide receiver, I think. If Mooney, with his injury, if he doesn't come back too well, I could see like a Jacoby Myers there.
I don't know if they spend the money though. I think they've already invested enough in Chase Claypool. They're going to have to stick with that.
They have the most money to spend though, and they have to pay
that's true.
the minimum over the last 3 years, and they haven't. So they have to spend money this year. So I can see them doing something like Jacksonville last year and just throwing money at like a Christian Kirk type level, or who's the other guy? Zay Jones.
Okay. Yeah.
I can see them doing that
like
this
a 2-year contract for like the Patriots
exactly.
did with Aguilar when they had all that money, right? Like they just threw shit at Aguilar and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith just for a couple of years. But I do think the Falcons, if they're going to stick with Ritter, they need somebody to get open quickly. They need a slot guy. And I think he's going to be I could think he could be that guy for a young quarterback.
Right,
Juju, stay with the Chiefs, dude.
Yeah. Tight ends, it's just Dalton Schultz and Mike Gesicki.
Yeah.
Mercedes Lewis, though, going to be 39 years old, unrestricted free agent.
Oh, good for him.
Dalton Schultz, best would be to stay in Dallas.
Yes.
Please.
I am praying that he stays in Dallas. I made a trade for him last offseason with knowing that he could potentially leave this year. And I just don't want an Austin Hooper situation. So, yeah, I would like him to stay in Dallas.
Yeah.
Gesicki, I feel like he's more talented than I feel like he should be used more. And for some reason, this guy, he shows flashes for like 2 or 3 games, and then he gooses you for like 5 in a row. And you're like, dude, what happened?
Actually, for both these tight ends, go to the Chargers with Kellen Moore. I think he'll find use for you. Dalton Schultz follows him over there, or Mike Gesicki goes there. Get some good use for him.
I didn't even think Dalton Schultz following him. I think that would be a good move. Gerald Everett, is he a free agent this year, or they still have him under contract?
I think he's still under contract, and Parham is a restricted free agent, so I'm sure they'll keep him cheap.
I know they have some cap issues too. They just restructured a bunch, and Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, I think Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, they all restructured their contracts, so they freed up a little bit of space. I don't know if they use it to go after a tight end, but I think
probably
that would be. I would love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was good, Ryan. Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun. We'll see. we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm glad that was a good time. I know this is like an
Oh, he's right.
Jesus, bad timing. This is an impromptu episode, guys. We really threw this together last minute. We're like, hey, we miss being on the mic. We want to get out there. Free agency is coming up. Mac, what do you think? Another episode next week after free agency? Talk about some of these landing spots, what that means for rookies and whatnot.
Yeah, we should. We'll have our anniversary episode at some point, but we might. Regan's going away for a bit, so we've been on vacation. We're a little rusty. Sorry. But we need a break from you to take, just all you do is take, and we needed to relax a bit with our tips. So, but yeah, we'll have some reaction. We won't do instant reaction of free agency. We'll let the dust settle a bit. So collect our thoughts a bit. We won't just be clickbaity type guys out here. So I can't stand those people. But yeah, it should be good. It's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll give you some clarity into what the direction is that some teams go to in the draft. So I think that would be important information to have. But yeah, Mac, lots of fun, dude. And appreciate you checking out the episode. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Check us out on all audio platforms. And also follow us on TikTok. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll see you next week.
See you, takers.